Hi, Amy.
Happy.
Last night was Before the 90 Days, Season 7, Episode 15.
Yeah, we're getting there.
15. We're getting there. Things are happening. Things are being tied up with a nice little bow.
Hmm.
Little bit. Little bit.
I can appreciate that.
I have 3 notes that I'd like to announce before we start dissecting the corpse of last night's episode.
Okay.
One is, please rate us and follow us on whatever platform you listen to the podcast on. The other is, if you prefer to watch our podcast, head over to YouTube, look for our channel at 90 Day Fiancé Honestly. And finally, our subscriber only content has launched and is covering season 2 of The Last Resort. This show is only available through Apple and Spotify with a monthly cost of just $4.99. Please join us for more uncensored, commercial, and tangent-free 90-day commentary.
Please.
Okay.
Although I would argue that there are some tangents, but they're on topic.
They're very, very minor tangents. They will not take you down a rabbit hole that lasts for half of the show.
That's
30
true.
seconds to 1 minute, we promise. Okay, let's dig in.
right.
Let's start. Let's start with Vanja. She has a date, and she's also had a date. Her previous date was not a good one, but now she's going out with Joshko, who has distinct inky vibes, I felt. Did you also feel that?
I got weird vibes from this dude.
Weird good, weird bad. How? What?
Just weird. I don't know if it's because I saw some posts on Reddit before I actually saw the show, but some people were saying that he was giving off escort vibes, and I couldn't shake it while I was watching it.
Interesting point of view. I can't say that I was thinking that at all while I was watching it. All I was thinking was, I'm so happy for Vanja because she's excited, and it's just absolutely delightful to watch her be so enthusiastic and pumped about a date that's actually going well.
I think it was I'm super happy for her too. Though I think that the commentary is more, he's so comfortable on camera, showing his teeny tiny little bathing suit on camera, making sexual comments and being open about how attractive he thinks she is and how turned on he is by her. And I think it was the comfort. I don't know.
That just spoils everything, because I thought it was perfect. The atmosphere was so positive. They were both seemingly genuinely interested in each other. And now that's all just stripped away.
It's just commentary. I don't know if it's true.
Okay. I really hope it's not true. Not because I hope that this is going to turn out to be the love of her life, because I really don't think that's a possibility.
No.
But just because she deserves to have something go well and go right after this rather abysmal experience of what's his face. I'm not even going to say his name. Not appreciating her. And then the slimy guy approaching her in the cafe who wanted to have some fun on the side of his open relationship. And obviously preceded by the date she had that we didn't really get to watch that didn't go well at all. So I was really happy that Yoshiko seemed to like her and was on her kind of energetic level. They were both extremely positive. They were both very comfortable with physical affection, with joking with each other. There was that banter, there was chemistry, and then there was even kissing.
There was a lot of it.
Which is such a turnaround from what's his face. So
I think she definitely deserves this. And I made the comment that Vanja got her groove back. This is exactly what she needed. Although I do think that she needs to reel it in, because she was saying, we're connected on a soul level, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, that's lust. Take it for what it is. Don't let your expectations get in the way of reality.
Yeah, obviously she did seem to be making up for lost time, and maybe also making up for her hurt feelings due to her previous experiences in Croatia. But I did want to just give her a pass on all of that, because I feel like not only does she deserve to have somebody who appreciates her, but she deserves to be able to show her true feelings and to just be completely unhindered and to unleash her true self. Yes, it was a lot. Yes, I did feel a little bit uncomfortable and wondered, is she jumping into things a little bit too quickly? But here's somebody who's finally giving her the attention and affection that she has wanted from the start.
Mm-hmm.
They have chemistry. There's sparks. Everything that you could possibly want on a first date is there. And then she finds out that Yoshko is a foster dad who was in the process of adopting this little boy. And it was so sweet. It just lent another dimension to who he is. It's not just the pretty boy who is very attentive physically and has the verbal banter with her that gets her, her going. He has depth. Why are you looking at me skeptically?
But is he being truthful?
Oh, come on. Okay, first you take away my idea that he is real, that he's definitely not an escort, and now you're saying that his little boy is an invented fabrication?
I'm not saying he invented it. I'm just not entirely sure about the whole foster thing. It seems very strange that a single man of his age would be fostering an infant, because he says he's had him for about 5 months now, and the kid's a year.
Okay.
I don't know. And I'm not trying to strip this from you. It's just a perspective, something to consider. You don't have to believe it. You don't even have to consider it. These are just my thoughts.
But why would you be so skeptical? What is there in him that made you feel skeptical, aside from the comments that you saw on Reddit?
I just think the whole situation is strange. His age,
that's not
his being single, the age of the child. It's a huge process to go through. I don't know.
I think it's entirely plausible that a man of his age who hasn't managed to meet somebody who wants to have a family with him and who wants to settle down then goes the route of becoming a foster dad just to sort of try it out, see what it's like, see how fatherhood suits him, and then just completely falls in love with this little boy and wants to be a father figure to him permanently and doesn't want to have him taken away from him.
I think that's beautiful, and I really hope that that's the truth.
But even saying that, it seems like this kid, and this is long-term thinking, which Vanja goes to immediately, and maybe she shouldn't, but it seems like this kid could be an impediment to her being a couple with Yoshko, because she immediately starts telling us how having a toddler at home means that Yoshko could likely not travel as easily to the US to come and visit her if they were to continue being a couple. After this first date. I have to keep reminding myself of that. This is their first date, and she's already thinking about being a stepmother.
My biggest concern with her, me wanting her to reel it in, is just because, we've seen what has just occurred with Bojo, and I don't want
say his name.
Okay, with that guy. I don't want to see her get hurt again.
I don't either. I really don't. And that's why I don't want it to be true that this guy is an escort. And I definitely don't want it to be true that he's making up this story about the little boy.
I don't want it to be true either.
Because that would just be awful. I mean, can you imagine? She suffered through this guy who pretends he loves her and brings her all the way to Croatia, to a guy who tries to pick her up who just wants to have a side chick for his open marriage or relationship, then a guy who is a total dud who she has no chemistry with on a first date, to a guy who seemingly has all the right stuff and she has a genuine connection with, turns out to be a complete lie. I mean, that's enough to make you want to swear off dating for life.
It might be, but let's just keep our hopes up.
That's what I would like to do.
Then let's do that, because I also want the same.
Okay, good. Just no more bad news, please. Can't handle it.
It's not even news.
She's so delicate, and she deserves to have some happiness.
I agree, she does.
Okay, let's wish her well, and let's move on to Brian and Ingrid. Another person who I wish well is Ingrid, who is on the beach alone. Never a good sign. What is she doing? Well, she's taking her time. She's thinking about all the new revelations that Brian has revealed to her. And she's talking about how she does not want to be just another Brazilian on Brian's list, which I think is the perfect way to encapsulate her experience and how she's interpreting or receiving all the information from him, that he's had all of these multiple wives, most of whom have been Brazilian. So she really has been sabotaged with all of this new shocking information that Brian has dropped on her like little bombs throughout his visit to Brazil. And she's starting to pull away from him because she's realizing that his lies or secrets, whichever way you prefer to look at it, these things that Brian has kept from her and told her in a very offhanded way in person, as if she should have known them from the start, which is so unfair. Like, I don't know. Why is it that he is asking why she is so distant from him? Shouldn't he know why she's being distant? Shouldn't all of this information take some time to assimilate, to incorporate, to understand, to process, as people like to always say? And she deserves a bit of time?
No, not according to him, anyway.
Of course not according to him.
No, because she's the problem. So he doesn't want to give her that space to figure out the fact that he's actually the problem. So he wants to push just to, nail her down, if it's probably a bad term, but to get her to commit, I guess that's a better term.
Yeah, we've seen this from the get-go, from when they first got into the hotel room after he arrived in Brazil, that he was really pushing the boundaries and showing so much of himself to her physically. What's the word? Literally and not literally. Whatever that is. Figuratively, thank you. He was showing so much of himself to her right off the bat that she barely had any time to just absorb it and reel it all in and go, okay, so this is who you are. And yet he's calling her judgmental. He's saying, why is she so distant from me? Well, buddy, you've just dropped so many bombs on her. She's shell-shocked for the moment. Give her a couple of seconds to take a breath, to figure out if she can deal with the fact that you are not the person that you first portrayed yourself to be online. She just learned about all of these ex-wives. That was new. She just learned about all of these ex-fiancés. Also new. He lied about his age. She learned that, his true age, on this trip. He lied about the fact that how he was injured was a lie. So she found out about the true way that he was injured. She found out about his past as a drug addict. She also found out, because Brian portrayed himself as somebody who can basically cope with everyday life on his own, doesn't need any special assistance, but she found out that he does need assistance. And not only does he need assistance, but he's actively looking for somebody who was willing to be a nurse to him as he gets older. So there's all of this stuff. And yet he's turning it around and flipping it on her and saying, you're being judgmental.
And it's, the love bombing and the gifts and going on about, how she's the one. How can she not feel the same way? He doesn't feel it coming. It's not being reflected back to him, but she's the one. Why is he spending so much time and trying to convince her to be with him? She's the one. What about the other 7? Did he say that about them too?
Yeah, I bet you he did.
He definitely did.
He definitely has a routine and a practiced approach to these women and how to get them reeled in. And I've seen that myself when I was younger and dating, that the guys would try to reel you in as quickly as possible and to get you involved in some aspect of their lives that was incredibly personal, so that it would be difficult for you to extricate yourself from that. And you feel obligated to have that attachment to them. So yeah, he's definitely got his game. He's definitely playing it. But the thing that I noticed was that, okay, so he's noticing that she's distant, that she's pulling away from him. And he says he doesn't really feel that there's anything between them at this point. Okay, so if that's your perspective, if that's the realization that you've come to after all this time with her, then go home. Let her be. Let her live her life.
Let it go.
If she can't offer the kind of relationship that you're after, the kind of physical closeness that you want, move on. Let her be. She's not the right woman for you, for what your requirements and needs are.
But I think he's just so narcissistic, he can't accept the fact that a woman wouldn't want him. So obviously she's the problem.
Yeah. And he doesn't just see her as her being the problem. He sees that she has deliberately deceived him. He says he feels like he's been strung along. And I just went, say what now? How? How do you see that you're the one who's been strung along and pulled on this journey of lies and deceit when you're the one who's been hiding all of this information from her and dropping it on her periodically like giant bombs? It's just, it blows my mind how unable he is to read the room.
I think it's so infuriating.
Yeah.
I had a very visceral reaction when we saw the last segment where he accuses her of just wanting a green card and getting her kids to the States. And I could feel how angry and frustrated she was because none of that is the case. Absolutely nothing. He's just projecting all of this onto her because he needs to make himself feel better because, he's, the manliest man to ever man, and he's the biggest catch. And any woman is, going to be so, their lives are going to be so much more rich because he's in it. No, that's not the thing. And also, wasn't it the plan that he was going to move to Brazil anyway?
I know that he was planning to do that with his previous wife, the one that he's actually still married to while we're watching this unfold, that he was living in Brazil, I believe. But I don't know if that was the plan for Ingrid. But it is pretty insidious that he accuses her of using him for a green card. And yeah, she is justifiably enraged by this accusation. He calls attention to the fact that she may be using him for money by saying, oh, you accepted this trip. You accepted me paying for your hotel. And he stops short of saying, this is a transaction where I paid for a bunch of stuff for you, and why aren't you giving me what I want? Mm-hmm. He just stops shy of that, but it's implied in those two statements about you accepted this trip to come here and I paid for your hotel. I've given you all these things. She did not ask for any of those things. He pushed those things upon her until she accepted them. And now he's using it as a weapon against her, which is despicable. Then he turns around and makes the big accusation about the green card. And frankly, not only are there a bunch of problems with Brian lodging this complaint against her because of how sweet she's been and how understanding she's been and how much she's had to deal with in terms of being able to assimilate all of the weird and scary stuff that he's thrown at her during this trip. But moreover, why is it that time and time again, we see this on 90 Day Fiancé, how the American seems to always think that the person that they're going to bring to the US is going to have a better life. It's just such presumed arrogance. Mm-hmm. That person who's the foreigner who's coming to the US is going to be separated from their family. They probably won't be able to speak their native language. They're going to have some difficulty communicating because most of them speak some level of English, but not perfect, obviously. They won't be able to work for quite a long time because they have this period of adjustment while they're waiting for the green card. They also have to adjust to a brand new culture. It's totally different rules and cultural norms and societal regulations that they have to learn and adjust to. I think it must be incredibly daunting for that person to come to the US. And it's so unfair to immediately make the assumption that that person is going to be happier and find life easier and adjust quickly and be totally fine and just be so grateful that they're in the US. Maybe they've left something really significant and wonderful behind, and you're just not acknowledging that at all.
Or comprehending the fact that that could be a thing. Mm-hmm. It's not just family, it's friends and support, and maybe it's a home that you've grown up in your entire life or a town that you've been in your entire life. So to leave your home country and everything that you've ever known for this unknown place would just be so terrifying. Yet it's always depicted to be, this is the fantasy, this is what everyone wants, but is it what everyone wants and needs, and is that what's best for them?
Yeah. So I find it really gross that Brian assumes that Ingrid is using him for the green card. We don't know that she wants to leave Brazil. We don't know that she'd have a better life in the US. Obviously, there's a couple of children involved. She has that complication that she would have to deal with. Who are you to say that she's using you for this opportunity to come to the US? Maybe she doesn't want to go there. Maybe she just wants to know if you're the right person for her.
And also, if she really wanted that green card, don't you think that she would have jumped into bed with you already?
Excellent point.
Why wouldn't
Yeah.
she secure that relationship with you, as opposed to telling you that she needs space? Not just physical space, but mental space as well.
Yeah.
That does not, it does not compute.
It doesn't jive at all.
No, it does not reflect the actions of a person who just wants a green card to get to the States.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any further comments for this particular lovely couple? All right. We have Veah and Sunny next. And we start off the morning after Rory and Sunny met when we saw that Veah chose Sunny over Rory. She made that conscious choice. And she's not particularly happy about how things went down. She wants to have both of these men in her life. Of course, why not? One's a friend, one's your boyfriend, potential life partner. And she admits at last to Sunny that she should have been honest with him from the start about Rory coming to South Africa, about her friendship and how important it is to her. And then she says to Sunny she's going to tell Rory to go home and he will leave in a couple of days, which seems to pacify Sunny. He's very happy. Now Sunny wants to see Rory once again before he leaves, just to kind of sort things out and smooth things over. I wondered at that moment, is that really a good idea? Veah has her doubts, and I'm not sure, based on how things went down the last time, that they'd really be capable of smoothing things over. But they go ahead with it. And the funniest thing is when all three of them arrive at the safari, it's not awkward at all. There's all these dead silences. Nobody's saying anything. They just stand around awkwardly looking at the ground, waiting for their Jeep to arrive so they can go do their safari tour. And it's clear from the start, Sunny is really not happy about any of this. He's got his arms crossed in the van. Did you see that? He's very defensive. He's very closed off. Rory sitting behind them also doesn't look very happy. He looks like he'd rather be anywhere else than there. But then we have the animals come into the picture, and there is some much needed comic relief provided by the animals. All sorts of hilarious scenes ensue, and Sunny takes this opportunity once the level of intensity has kind of lowered a little bit, to apologize to Rory and to just explain himself fully to him, which is fantastic. And then that tension is gone.
I thought that was really big of him.
It was the right thing to do. I think it was like Rory's reaction. I can't really read him. I couldn't tell if he was being ironic, if he was being sarcastic, if he was being genuine. He really seems to have his guard up all the time.
And I wonder if it's because he's not sure how to take it either. So he's not sure what his response was.
Yeah. I thought perhaps it could be because he's just still feeling so protective of Veah that he doesn't want to let his guard down for her sake. But they seem to be on okay footing at the end of this segment. However, the one last issue that we have to deal with is the fact that Veah has not yet been introduced to any of Sunny's family. She's really concerned about that. She's not happy with it. And then there's this talk about how she needs to cover up her tattoos and just be a little bit more modest when they do go to meet Sunny's dad. And she calls it having to change who she is, which is just silly.
It's dramatic. You don't have to have all of your tattoos removed before you go. It's a matter of just dressing respectfully.
I know. And then when she calls Sunny selfish for asking her to respect his culture and respect his family, I just found that rather ironic, because she is the one who's not respecting his culture and family by saying, you're trying to change me and I don't want to change and you're being selfish. No, Veah, you're being selfish. You're the one who's being closed-minded about this. All you have to do is wear a long sleeve shirt, cover up your tattoos, and go meet his dad, don't you want to make the best impression? Don't you want to try to make things as happy and smooth and good as possible?
No. Why would she?
No. Yeah, maybe she actually just wants to sabotage the whole thing. It's a possibility.
Maybe. When she was complaining about having to cover up her tattoos and how he's trying to change her, it made me think about how would Corona do this? Like, is she trying to pull a Corona? Like, I'm just going to walk in with like a studded choker and very revealing leather-like clothing and 12-inch platforms. And no. He's not asking you to completely change who you are. It's just a matter of dressing modestly for this event.
Yes, for the one meeting.
Just be respectful. He's not like going to like you anyway, but just be respectful.
It's not like Adnan. It's not like he's asking you to dress that way for the rest of your life. It's just for this one moment to make sure that things go well, that you make the best impression possible, and that hopefully dad approves of you and the relationship. And then you've got the green light to continue, which is really important. If you really love Sunny, isn't this also in your best interest?
I really don't think that he's asking for too much. I think that it was great that he gave her a fair warning of, how conservative at least his dad is, and to kind of prepare her for it. Just so much better than her, walking in a tank top or something. Just give her the opportunity to dress as modestly as possible for this one event.
And it seems like such a red herring when we already know that the more serious and more contentious issue is actually going to be the nature of her religion and the fact that she isn't Muslim. That's going to be the deciding factor, not the tattoos. When you look at it in the big picture, like, yes, she does have to cover up. Yes, she does have to be modest. But once he finds out that she's not Muslim, nor does she intend to convert, that's going to put the brakes on everything, I think.
I think so too.
And on that note, shall we go to Poland?
Nope, not yet. One last thing. So at the very beginning, Veah was saying how uncomfortable or disappointed she was that she had to choose between Rory and Sunny. Now, I've said this several times before, but what did she think was going to happen? And also, you put yourself in this position. Did you really think that the boys were going to get together and they were going to be good old jolly friends from the very beginning? No, you knew this was going to be an issue, which is why you didn't tell Sunny. And now you are having to deal with the consequences of it. So stop complaining about having to make this choice because you put yourself in this situation. That's all I got for that. Let's go to Poland.
Let's go to Poland. It's time to move to Magda's hometown from Warsaw, where they've been for a little while. Magda tells us that she thinks that Joe is going to propose before he leaves to go back to the US.
Oh,
good luck with that. Good luck. Yeah. So she's totally ready to get married. But meanwhile, Joe is second guessing everything, especially what he just learned about Magda when he discovered that she had moved to Germany for her ex, as well as taking into consideration the very brief timeline that Magda has for them to get engaged, become married, and start having a family. So he definitely wants to have a discussion with Magda to tell her that they should slow down.
Fair.
I don't know. Do you think they should?
Yes. Yes, I do. Especially because it comes out in this, correct me if I'm wrong, but it comes out during this conversation that she's already booked her ticket to the States.
That was so wild.
And he didn't say anything about it.
Yeah, okay, let's hold on to that thought. Hold on to that thought. Because that also really got to me. I was like, huh, what?
All right. I had to rewind it. Thank God I can rewind things. I had to rewind it twice. Because there's no way. Did she? What?
Okay. What? How did we get to that point? How did we get there?
And when?
Any other questions?
I have so many.
Okay. First of all, let's lead up to it because we want to break into it as slowly and gently as we did when we were watching it, only to be completely and utterly shocked at this moment of what? They go to the market, and I love the market shopping. I really like that. They go and get the ingredients so that Joe can make her dinner. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. That's lovely.
I love that he's trying to flex the very minimal amount of Polish that he knows because it reflects my amount of knowledge. That is hello. Piwo is beer.
Dziękuję.
It is. Świnia is pig. Krowa is cow.
Wow, you got some words.
Yeah.
Go, Amy.
Not gonna
nice.
Really get me anywhere, but I think that's
Nastroviev, they say that when they cheers, right? But that's like Russian.
Yeah. Wystrowie Świąt. I'm not saying that right. Wystrowie Świąt. That's my Christmas.
Oh, how appropriate. How appropriate. Okay, let's go back to Poland. Okay, all right.
Back to the market.
They're at the market. They get all the things, and it seems like he's going to make this huge meal. I was like, oh, is he making gnocchi? Because he got potatoes, and I'm like, he's Italian, so he must be about to make gnocchi. I think my hopes were a little bit too high, just a teensy bit too high expectations. Then while they're shopping, I thought, Magda seems a little off. She seemed like she wasn't there. She seemed disappointed and sad and very quiet, and I didn't know what was going on. And Joe seemed a little bit overly trying to make up for her not being in a great mood. I wasn't sure. The dynamic was just bizarre. Yeah. But they get back to her apartment, and he's looking around, taking a tour by himself because she can't be bothered to show him around. And he's looking at her teddy bears, and he's asking if they were gifts from other guys. Just like, jealous much? Like, who cares? Well, they're just stuffed animals.
Why was he grilling her about that? And he asked her several times. Oh yeah, it wasn't from any boyfriends. No, it was. Yeah, all of them were from your friends.
So he's definitely got some insecurities going on. Because he starts asking her about when she moved to Germany, how long was it before that she decided to go? Like, how long had their relationship lasted before she moved to Germany?
And she said it was a couple months.
3, which is the same amount of time that they've been talking online before she's decided that they're going to get married, they're going to get engaged, have children. He's gone. Okay, so she's got a definite pattern here, right? Then we get to this insane discussion, which totally blew my mind because I was like, have I missed an episode? What is going on? Like you said, she has a ticket to go back to the US when we don't know, but she has already purchased one. She says she's going for 1 month, in which time she will meet his family, do all the things. And all of this was already discussed with Joe. What?
Was it? I don't know.
But she says, you said a couple of days ago that I'm the love of your life, that you know that I'm the one, but we didn't see that. And he doesn't say, what are you talking about? No, I never said that. He just sits there stoically. So I'm assuming that is accurate, but we weren't privy to this. Why not?
Or the conversation didn't happen and he didn't feel comfortable calling her on it.
Okay. Yes, I feel like it probably was true because of what we know of Joe already. I think he's trying to set the stones in the path to the garden of her sweet femininity, if you get what I'm meaning.
Sexual manipulation?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, he's trying to get there. And so he's doing whatever he can in order to make sure that she feels comfortable to open her gates to him. Anyway, it's a huge moment in which I was totally flabbergasted. Like you, I was hitting the rewind button. I was going, what? When did they did my mind just go to sleep for a couple of seconds and I missed something? No. This is what she said. She's bought a ticket. She's ready to go. He said she's the love of his life. But then he starts to backpedal. Good old Joe. He doesn't like the timeline. He's asking why they have to be so rushed. What's the big hurry? Shouldn't they get to know one another better? Which, yes.
And be intimate. He's like, I can't imagine having this conversation, or I've never had this conversation with someone without having that intimacy.
No, that's next week. That was in the preview.
Oh, is it? Jumping the gun.
Damn you, Amy.
I'm sorry.
That was next week. But yeah, it totally jives with where he's going with this. So he's backpedaling, and then she calls his bluff, which I thought was just hilarious. Now, either it's immaturity, she's just feeling like a petulant child and she wants to hit back because she's been hurt and now she wants to hurt him, and she wants to see if she can push him to agree to her timeline by saying, I give up. you win. But I think it's more just total anger at the situation where she feels betrayed by him taking a step back and saying we should get to know one another better, because she immediately changes. Her demeanor is different. She's kind of shutting down. She checks out. She says, well, we don't have to do anything. We don't have to get married. We don't have to get engaged. And we don't have to have a relationship. Nothing. No, it's fine.
And thanks for this beautiful dinner.
And then she goes to bed. I got to go to bed. Good night. Wow. Awkward. And then I couldn't understand the argument that she's giving to the camera crew when she goes off into the bedroom by herself, because she says she can't trust Joe because of the things that he's done wrong so far in the relationship. But he's asking for more time to get to know her better, to get to love her more, to trust her more before they get married. However, she doesn't want to wait for the trust to grow. Like, she's insisting they get married very, very soon, that they get engaged on this trip, in the face of just having admitted to us that she doesn't have any trust in Joe because of all the multiple mistakes that she considers he's made in the relationship. She just wants to get married as a kind of a leapfrogging over all of these problems. Let's jump to getting married, because that will solidify my trust in you and make me know that you're mine and that we're in a healthy relationship. What?
I just realized something.
What?
She's the straight version of Statler.
Yes, she is. She's totally insecure. She needs the relationship to be stamped, delivered, sealed,
delivered.
Yes, before she can feel secure enough in it to be able to what? To open up sexually. I'm not even sure what it is that she's looking for to validate her her securities, validate however it is that she's feeling, so that she feels happy and relaxed and safe with Joe.
I think that there's an element of her just being extremely stubborn and wanting exactly what she wants.
Yeah.
And she's going to bulldoze anyone to get what she wants. And it just so happens that Joe has fallen into this with her.
Yeah.
So she's going to ride that until the absolute very end. Or not ride it. Am I right?
No riding. They are not tall enough to ride the ride. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's sort of an argument that she presents that totally goes against herself. So she negates her argument by delivering it. If you want trust in the relationship, you need to invest the time in the relationship in order to gain the trust. You don't just jump straight to marriage while saying, I don't trust this guy. So therefore, it's insane. Literally.
And there's also that kind of reflection about the whole Brian thing. Like, here is a woman who quite clearly just wants a green card, but she's also not just jumping into bed too.
She's also not jumping into bed, but
she's using it as like a manipulative tactic to get what she wants.
Anyway.
Yep.
It's just bizarre. And then I love the scene at the very end with Joe going to sleep on the couch, because clearly he knows that he's not welcome in the bedroom. And he doesn't even have a blanket or a pillow or anything. He just lies down on the couch to go to sleep.
But he's got his kimono, at least in his backpack or his suitcase.
Yeah, so he hadn't put it on yet.
It'll be fun.
So that was amusing. Then we go to Niles and Matilda, if you're ready.
One last thing. You were talking about the gnocchi, and I got really excited about that as well. But gnocchi is actually the Italian version. In Polish, it's called kopitka, at least in my experience. It's not the exact same thing, but it is the most similar. Anyway, also disappointed that there was none. Anyway, yes, Niles and Matilda.
The food was a big disappointment. If we can just linger on this for 2 more seconds.
Always.
It just seems like it was like boxed pasta and a tomato sauce, or maybe a bolognese sauce.
I think it was a bolognese.
Like the most simple thing. I thought, oh, Joe's actually going to impress us for a change, and he's going to pull out all the stops. Okay, so it wasn't gnocchi, but he'll do some beautiful sauce, something very Italian and authentic. But no, it was just regular old run-of-the-mill bolognese, which my 13-year-old son can make.
And that reminds me of Gino's family dinners with them ordering in.
Yeah.
Very authentic.
So authentic.
They're authentic Italian music. Okay, I'm done now.
Okay. All right, time for Niles and Matilda. Things are tense. They're so tense.
Felt so bad for Niles.
Yeah, I did too. So we start off, it's the aftermath of him having told Matilda that he lost his job. Okay. So that puts a huge damper on their wedding plans because he doesn't have the ready cash in order to pay for the bride price right now. And I thought to myself, well, what about TLC money? Because you're doing this show, so you're earning $1,000 an episode. Where's that money? Can you not use that?
I would think that money wouldn't be available until later.
Okay, fair enough.
Maybe. I don't know. We don't get their pay schedule. And also, I think that would be breaking the third or fourth wall if he were to say, I have to wait until my money from the production company comes in before I can do this.
Fair enough. All of that is true. But just taking into consideration, he's saying he doesn't have any money and he's lost his job. We know he has another job. When he talked to us the very first time about what his working situation was like, he said he had 2 jobs. So he's lost one of them, and now he has the TLC job on top of that. So he effectively still has 2 jobs. But the question is about the money in the bank account, which is lacking. Okay, I get it. I was really happy to see that Niles calls his parents at last. I was asking for this last week. Where are the parents in all of this? Has he let them know? Has he not? He does call them. He wants to let them know that he is going ahead with the wedding, which he knows that they're against, that they didn't want him to get married on this trip. But at least he's being open and honest. He's doing the right thing. And
even though you could tell how difficult that was for him.
Yeah. All he wants, all he's hoping for is just a little bit of their approval. To acknowledge the fact that he is getting married, that he's chosen his wife, that he's ready. And it does not go well at all.
I'm surprised they didn't have that call on speaker because they normally do.
Well, it means that the parents didn't give their permission,
right,
for the call to be recorded.
I know. That just makes it that much worse.
Yeah.
Because we didn't hear what they had to say, but we did obviously hear his remarks, and it sounded so sad, arguing with his parents about whether or not he's ready for marriage and how long he needs to wait. Like, I really felt for him in this episode.
And not only that, they were also seeming to argue with him about the fact is he even being rational? And I thought, how can you say that to your own child? Admittedly, I don't know what it's like to have a child with autism, but they are talking to him like he doesn't even have the capacity to make a decision like this on his own, which clearly he is able to do.
He definitely is. He's very, very high functioning. And I think that it speaks volumes that that's what his parents are going after.
It's awful. He gets very, very agitated by this phone call.
He was agitated, but I think he handled himself very well. He was very firm in what he was telling them. He didn't waver. He communicated very clearly, despite, like, you could see how visibly upset he was, but he maintained his composure, even though you could feel or hear the wavering in his voice. I think he did so well with this conversation. I'm really proud of him for making that call, because I think that, like, we were saying last week, well, he could just call his parents to ask for money, and now he has. And now we can see why he was so hesitant to call them to begin with. But I'm proud of him for doing it.
Yeah, it was extremely brave of him. It took tremendous courage.
Brave. Thank you. Yes, that was the word I was looking for.
But I just felt so badly. It seemed like at one point the parents were saying that they wouldn't even talk to Matilda. And I just, why would you, okay, it's one thing to object to the marriage, to let your concerns be known to your child. To accuse him of not being rational is over the top and unnecessary. But then to say that you're not even going to talk to his wife, which she will be in 2 days' time, why would you do that?
Why wouldn't you give yourself the opportunity to meet this woman who your son clearly loves so very much? Give yourselves, and Matilda the opportunity to meet.
Yep.
It might surprise you.
So close-minded. And they don't take in to a consideration the fact that he's known her for over 2 years now, as he kept saying. He's gotten to know her in person. He's an adult. It's his choice. They're treating him like he's a little baby, and he's not. He's 27 years old. So my heart really goes out to him because he knows. It's so fully clear to him that his parents don't support his marriage. And so this is going to make the marriage itself not be the joyful and wonderful total experience that you would hope that it is when you get married. There's going to be that part of him that is feeling awful because his parents do not acknowledge it, do not want it, and have said they're not even going to speak to her.
And also the same for Matilda. So obviously this conversation will add credence to what he's been telling her are his parents' perceptions and their position based on the relationship. So now she has confirmation from them that this is how they perceive her. This was that in the preview. I don't know. I don't want to spoil it, but with her moving to the US, what is that going to look like for her? Moving with him back home. Obviously, he's going to meet her, or she's going to meet his parents. Are they going to give her the time of the day? Well, are they going to be respectful?
Exactly. Just like we were talking about with Ingrid and Brian. When Matilda comes to the US, she has no support system. She has nobody except Niles. And you would hope at the very least that she has his family to rely on, to be her comfort, her support system, to be there when he's at work, to be there throughout all of the months that she has to wait until she's able to get a job. But it sounds like it's not. I can't imagine a worse scenario. It's horrific.
Yeah, I feel awful for both of them because their love is so palpable and it's so genuine, and just really sucks for both of them that this isn't all sunshine and rainbows. And obviously nothing ever is, but his parents not supporting the relationship is pretty huge.
So sad. Are you ready to go to Loren and Faith?
This one will be short, so yes.
Okay. Faith is feeling betrayed, of course, as always. What else is new? Over the night's experience before, when Loren was talking to the drag queen. But he says he doesn't feel that he was flirting. In fact, he says what he was doing was talking to kids outside the bar.
Well, this just makes it so much better.
Doesn't it? There's nothing like having a grown adult man be approached by young teenagers, one of whom, a girl, says that she thinks he's cute, and to have him reach out his hand and caress her face and say thanks, but no thanks.
Highly doubt he said that. But I love the mental gymnastics that he pulls with this one. You know, I was racking my brain and I don't remember flirting with any drag queens at all, even though he admitted in the last episode that, yeah, he was flirting with them because, quote unquote, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Strange. And now he's like, oh, yeah, I wasn't flirting with those kids, but I was also flirting with them because, you know, just a little bit of intimacy by caressing her face. What? No. Ew. Gross.
Either way you look at it is still as gross, if not more gross than before, because like you said, he did admit the night before to flirting with the drag queens. Now he's admitting to entertaining teenagers. I guess you don't really have to call it flirting because it probably wasn't, but putting your hand on a child is not a good idea under any circumstances.
Especially when you refer to them yourself as kids.
Yeah.
You don't see a problem with that? This isn't like a little 3-year-old coming over and proposing to you. And you're like, oh, you're so cute. No, these are
black leather-clad teenagers. We saw them.
Yeah, that are old enough to drink. I don't know what the legal drinking age is there. But anyway, ew. How does that make it any better? And then he's like, oh, but, you know, I wasn't even talking to any drag queens outside, so I don't know what they were talking about. But he didn't bring that up last week.
I know.
You know, they must, your friends who saw this must have been across the street and didn't hear the whole interaction. But then he says they were right there and they heard everything. He's contradicting himself the entire way through this entire conversation.
I think Loren is somebody who has learned how to weasel out of just about any situation that he gets himself into. Perhaps not very well, because there are a lot of problems with his argument, as you've just pointed out, the many holes. But he has been able to do it successfully enough that it's gotten him out of sticky predicaments just like this one, because Faith chooses to believe him. She should be questioning all of this, because there has been a lot that she's had to deal with, just like Ingrid, where she's had to deal with the fact that Loren's been cheating. Then it's like the number of women that he's been cheating on has changed. The suggestion that he marries Faith's mom is also a lot to deal with. The fact that he comes up with the gonorrhea is a lot to deal with. And she incredibly gives him one more chance. I'm sad that she doesn't kick him to the curb at this point, because we've been waiting and waiting and waiting for this moment to occur. But no, she's clinging on. It's almost like you can hear her sister's voice in the background saying, you know, we don't get many chances as trans women to have boyfriends, so hang on to this one, because there may not be another.
It could also be a matter of he's only in the Philippines for a couple more days, so she's just going to stick it out until he leaves, and then she's going to tell him that she doesn't want to be with him. Fingers crossed.
It's ever hopeful.
But what really, really grossed me out, aside from his mental gymnastics and the whole kid thing, you know, as soon as he finishes explaining himself, he says, "Can you get over it?"
Yeah, of course I can get over it. Yeah, no problem. Oh, done. Switch. Flicked.
Yes, because you flirting with anyone in front of me and or my friends is acceptable. Never mind you admitting to flirting now with two different people, but one was a kid.
Yeah. What? It's okay. It's okay. It's just a kid. Doesn't count.
Just get over it.
Doesn't count.
Just get over it. What? No.
I know. I feel like we haven't yet seen the worst of Loren. I think there's more to come. He's got...
There's so much.
Yeah, there really is. Have you completed your comments on this guy?
Yes, I have.
Yes, okay. We didn't see Tiger Lily and Adnan this week, sadly.
Not mad about that.
No, neither am I. But next week they are coming back, and Tiger Lily is making a Thanksgiving dinner for Adnan and all of his family. Isn't that lovely?
Okay.
Loren and Faith are going to...
Can I just make a comment?
Of course you can.
I would like to see what she cooks, and I want to see how bad it is.
I think it'll be good. I think she's probably going to be a good cook. I think it's going to be difficult for her, given that the appliances in Turkey are so different from in the US. And she's obviously going to struggle with that. But moreover, she's going to struggle with the fact that Adnan is completely incompetent and can't do any cooking whatsoever. He probably couldn't even toast a piece of bread.
Could he boil water? Of course not. I also wonder if she could. So let's...
Well, she's got kids. She's got kids. How can you not have children and not know how to cook?
Yeah, but she's been living in extreme wealth since before she had the kids.
That's true. Yeah, it is going to be interesting. And I know you're going to be focused on the food, as always. And you'll give us your complete report as to what is a success and what is not, what you'd like to try and what you do not want to try.
Because that's important.
Always. Okay, Loren and Faith. They're going to go on a date with a ring. Lord help us.
A magic trick.
Good grief. Barf. Then we're going to see Joe and Magda, who says that he needs to be intimate before he promises any kind of engagement.
Sorry, I spoiled that one. But yeah.
Yep, that's fine. Let's go on. Mr. Ark. The lovely Mr. Ark returns, and he wants to know why Niles does not have enough money to get married. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, Mr. Ark.
Brian is, as usual, crying his crocodile tears. How much more of this man do we have to be subjected to? Please.
He's got to be extremely hydrated for the amount of tears that he's pulled out.
Yeah. And Sunny's dad meets Veah for the very first time.
And it goes over so well because she wore a long sleeve shirt.
Not to mention the fact that he's going to ask her if she converts, if she'll convert to Islam. That's not awkward. No, not at all. No problems ahead. Smooth sailing.
Perfect.
Yay. Any final comments before we go?
I kind of enjoyed this episode. Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I think this has actually been one of the more interesting seasons that we've had recently. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next week. I think that's my summary. What about you?
I just was happy, most of all, because of Vanya's date. And yes, you have pulled the rug out from under me with your talk of what's going on online. But I'm going to cling on to
talk, babe. It's just
I know, but I'm going to cling on to my own belief that everything is okay and that she's going to get a good result because, good Lord, she deserves it. Even if it doesn't last forever, at least let her have one successful relationship, please.
I still think it would be a success, even if things didn't work out between the two of them, or if, something negative did come up. I still think it would be a success.
All right.
Because it's what she needs.
She sure does. So before we go, if you're enjoying the 90 Day Fiancé Honestly podcast, please subscribe to or give our show a follow. And if you have an additional moment, why not rate us and help other 90 Day fans to find our show? Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone.
See you next week.